What's up, my Holden brethren? Steven and Logan, word.
Howdy.
No one likes your beard.
Wow.
So, y'all check this out. So we got an update on the white and blue. Oh, hold up. I'm pressing the wrong button. There we go. Whoa, all right. So the white and blue Ford, y'all remember this truck, 12-valve swap, MV 4500, Super Duty axles, a million other things. Look at all the parts in the back we've already got done on this thing. So Logan's been over here working on this morning, and we had a concern about what we were going to do with the TK shift lever on this thing because the floor pan in this Ford was not designed to run a 271 transfer case. So you can see where Logan's at right now. He's got this piece tack welded in. We actually went and sectioned this piece out of a 2005 Dodge that we have outside because our plan was to be able to use the rigid mount that this thing, the way they mounted in a Dodge was rigid to the floor pan, and then the shifter moved underneath, and kind of all the movement happened on the shift rod between this lower piece and the lever on the transfer case. This truck originally from the factory just had the shift stub sticking out. Let me show you what I'm talking about back here. This piece kind of bolted, this plastic piece just held the rubber surround for the shifter, but it actually bolted underneath the truck to the side of the transmission or to the T-case, I don't remember, to the transmission. So this big bolt was what held the assembly rigid so that whenever you move the shift lever, you could move the transfer case forward and back. And that's where I was talking about inside here. We've changed that up where now the shift lever, or the shift lever and its whole fulcrum and stuff are hard mounted to the floor, and then the rod has got bushings in it where they'll actually flex. So we've eliminated having to drill and tap the side of the transmission or the T-case or making a bracket for that original assembly to bolt on there. It was a lot more work to do that, and this actually is going to end up a whole lot cleaner than that. If you can see, when that sets down in there, we're going to pull this rubber boot off and probably make one or something, but this will actually sit in here super clean like this. There'll be 4 fasteners that hold this on, and you'll be able to shift the T-case like if it was OE factory in here. So Logan has done a really good job at making this look good. He's going to weld the rest of this up. We've trimmed some of the additional material off the backside so it doesn't just hold mud and debris, and then we'll roll the carpet up here after that's all done. Secondly, we've got the clutch assembly worked out underneath for the master and the slave cylinder for the hydraulic system to release the clutch fork, the clutch release fork inside the transmission. So OBS Fords actually use like a cantilever. This pedal goes up, runs across a rod, and punches through the firewall, and they can be a little bit of a pain in the butt to do. A lot of guys who do this conversion actually use a hybrid system between a Ford Master and a Dodge slave cylinder. And we didn't want to do that because in the event that the truck needs repairs down the road, or you want to upgrade to say like a dual disc or anything crazy where you have a higher pressure plate load, then you're going to need a different set of hydraulics. Or say that you don't want to do that and you have a set of hydraulics that fail, you don't want to have to go in and buy the Ford Master, pull the roll pin out, bleed the air out, because anyone who's done one of those systems before knows that it can be a serious pain in the butt to get the air out of the hydraulics. So we wanted to stay with the Dodge stuff. It's a lot easier to go in and get parts for that and know that it's really just going to fall in. So this is another piece between Steven and Logan. They collaborated and actually hybrided a couple things. We made a plate that matched the profile of the factory hydraulics on the firewall, then used a short section of pipe, and then the twist lock piece that holds the Dodge in. These actually stab in and twist and lock in. And between those 3 pieces welded together, we ended up with this piece that clears the vacuum booster for the brakes so you can keep an OE booster. Again, trying to make it simple and usable so that in the future, if the truck needs repair, it's not wild trying to get the parts to fix it. We've also done some brass adapting with the sensors that tie into the factory harness. That way, as many of the factory gauges as possible will work. We're trying to make this a seamless install and something that you can be proud of. And part of that is the effort that it takes to tie in some of those sensors so that when you get in the truck, it has a feel like the truck was built that way from the factory. Turbo's high mounted over here on this side. Got a really long turbo drain line that runs back down the side of the block. We've got like a 9-foot downpipe piece. We had to section a couple pieces and get in there. Finally got the flange for the back side of the turbo. To do that, you can see that thing has been welded up and set into place. So yeah, we've covered a whole lot of ground. I know Logan finished tightening up the rest of the stuff on the front suspension. Looks like we got the track bar on this side that needs to be sucked up. And of course, we've got to get the front end of the truck aligned. But for the most part, this stuff's been tidied up under here. Y'all ended up doing some exhaust work as well, right?
Yes, we did a 4-inch floor probe.
All right, so we got a kit. That was for a second gen Dodge? Or
for
an OBS Power Stroke. So again, because none of this stuff, you can't just call and say, hey, I've got a 12-valve swapped OBS, send me a kit with a high mount HX35 and a 4500 in it and blah, 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 and Super Duty axles. You can't call and order that. So you've got to take it somewhere and you've got to build it. And that's exactly what we did. So you can see here that the kit that we've got leaves the factory tailpipe where it has the right bends and radiuses to clear the leaf springs. It gives you like locations where hangers are going to be in the correct spot. And then you've got some custom work that has to happen up here around the transfer case. And like I showed y'all just a second ago, up there at the downpipe on the turbo. And this thing is looking ridiculous. I would expect before too long to be able to fire this thing up and hear it and see it drive around. Okay, well, it's been before too long. It's a really cold day. We just barely got the air bled out of this thing. Hadn't quite seen it fart just yet. I mean, it tried, but I think we're there. What do you think, Steven?
I think we're there.
I think it's time to hear this thing run. So let me give you guys a quick update on where we're at since the last time. So we've got electrical run, made terminals, an intake, broke a piece of aluminum to keep the hot air off of this thing, cold air if you will. Got a lot of the other stuff on the front side of this thing buttoned up. We adapted the oil pressure sending unit, the temp sending unit, wired up the external regulator for the alternator. Got a serpentine belt put on this thing, coolant hoses, you know, a lot of doodads, honestly. The front suspension, almost everything is done up here except for the sway bar end links on the tie rod, but we got the track bar tight and the rest of the steering linkage tied up on this thing. Exhaust has got hangers. We're gonna still trim the tip on the back of this. Y'all saw the shifter we were working on the other day. We've got the interior I put back in here. We've been hammering on this thing. So the carpet's rolled back in it, bench seat set in it, got a shifter set up, had to get an adapter and weld some other stuff up for that. But now we got our shifter installed, we got our T-case lever, all that stuff mounted up. Let me come around to the other side real quick, Steven. Got a bed full of junk we still need to clean out of this thing. But you can see how this steel finished out. Boots on there. We reuse the boot that's on there until we get another one that we can adapt to this. We just cut a secondary hole in this thing for the meantime. That way we can do some test drives without wind and water and stuff blowing up in here. Shifter looking slick. Tranny feels great. We got oil pressure, coolant temp, and battery voltage. All those things are hooked up. And basically now it's time to hear it run. Steven, you want to fire this thing up and I'll check and make sure we don't have anything leaking?
Yes, sir. You may have to give her a touch of throttle.
All right, yeah, let me reach down there. All right, guys. Moment of truth. Let her rip. Oh. Yeah, I did. Feel like it's not spinning fast enough, maybe.
Try one more time.
Okay.
Here we go.
Yep. Almost. There we go. See if it'll idle. Still gotta hook the throttle linkage up, it's just flopping. You gotta finish up the pull to kill cable. Got a bracket and stuff made. Little blower.
Doesn't sound like a 351 anymore.
Hey dude, you wanna go give it a little blop?
Oh yeah.
show a little bit of tractor love. Come on. Oh, a little air. All right, so we got gauges, oil pressure, the fuel sending unit. That stuff's not hooked up yet. Maybe the wire's pinched to ground back there. Not really sure. It's pegged out. Looks like we're charging. Coolant temp hasn't come up just yet, but looking like the gauges are working.
Oh yeah.
One less thing to worry about.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Looking good. Motor sounds good. Nothing leaking. Money. Shut her down. All right. So, check that off the list. We got the motor running, got the interior back in it, the shifter's done, the TK shift lever is done, we got charging, we got cooling system. We're almost home.
Test drive coming soon.
All right, guys. See you later.